What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the BoneZone. So I'm out here in Urbana-Champaign, Illinois. Took a trip down from Chicago, and I'm meeting up with one of my good old buddies, Justin McAdera, and he's been working on this product that has got me ridiculously excited. Like my dream product, I'm not even kidding. It's an electric trombone. Justin, hey, what's going on, man?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
You too.
Oh, dude, that sounds so cool. And there's... So there's all kinds of junk, and when you've got like the big system hitting it, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. All right.
So Justin McAdera,
Yes.
what is that?
Okay. So this is what we're calling the Infinisphere, and what it is it's the intersection between acoustic and electric instruments. So. Technically, it's not completely an electric trombone, but it is. This is what's happening here is that I have deadened all the acoustic sound with this this aspect. This is removable. You can put a regular bell onto this. There's a pickup here in the mouthpiece here. This is from Piezo Barrel. A gentleman out of Australia makes these, and they're fantastic. They're really great. You drill it into the mouthpiece. You can put a cap on it. It's great, so you can play acoustic as well. And then I have a built-in wireless pack as well. This whole horn was made by B.A.C, Best American Craftsman, out of Kansas City. I'm an artist with them now. And what had happened was that I just wanted to start looking at a different way of approaching the trombone. And I approached a bunch of different companies, and B.A.C was one of the few ones that got back with me that said, "Yeah, sounds like we can do this."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
those guys are super cool.
They're great. They're great. It's fantastic, and like I said, they let me name it. The Infinisphere, how the name came about, it incorporates two things really. It's the infinite nature of the horn. So when you're playing the horn, there's no sound, there's no acoustic sound coming out. So it's kind of an infinite thing. It's like your body plus the horn. A little esoteric, but I like it,
Yeah.
And then the spherical aspect, obviously it has to do with this, but also too, I'm a big believer in the whole music of the spheres and that type of thing. So you'll see in the paint job and that type of thing, there's the universe and that type of thing. This was supposed to be, it's like hand-hammered brass, but it came out really cool. It kind of looks like almost like a meteor or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was
so it all kind of blends in together.
Yeah, that's a great name for it too. I would have came up with like the electric bone or something.
Sure. Well, and now there were a bunch of names that kind of got thrown around, and my thing is that I really wanted this to be different.
Yeah.
I really wanted this to be different. I wanted to set this thing apart from the other things that are out there. I feel like that we're entering into this time where electric and acoustic go into these different realms, and I think that this is possibly a great jumping off point to really get into some electronic instruments.
Yeah, absolutely. And that pickup there, so it's not a microphone. It's more like a guitar, electric guitar pickup.
That's exactly what it is. It's a piezo pickup. So it's what acoustic guitars would use as a pickup. And what's great about it is that he's able to make the gentleman out of Australia. He's able to make all kinds of different tonalities and frequencies accentuate others. So for instance, if I'm playing with my pedals and that type of thing, if I'm playing some stuff that's really more low and droning, there are ones that accentuate the bottom frequencies and take off some of the highs.
Oh, wow.
And then I've got another one that really focuses on the highs. So if I need to cut through a band, if I'm playing, doing some rock type of thing or doing some type of funk thing, and I need it to cut, then I can change it to the other pickups that'll accentuate that. Yeah. The one that I have on right now is really, it's a balance. So here was the thing. thought process was, I don't want this to sound like trombone. I don't. When you hear it, it's like, that's not,
Yeah, it's the Infinisphere,
exactly.
not the trombone.
It's something different. But I also didn't want it to sound like electric guitar either, because the thing is that this is not electric guitar. So what are the aspects, what makes this unique from electric guitar or any of the electronic instruments? And what I like about this pickup is that it picks up a lot of the airiness of your breath and that type of thing, and so it creates this whole thing, this really interesting level of harmonics that are happening, but also to this like airiness that happens, so that when you hear it, you're not always sure what's going on. Yeah.
So let's see, what else? How long have you been working on the electric trombone?
So the electric trombone, the idea for electronics, using electronics with the trombone started for me in 1999. This was a project for me where I was working, I don't know, just to try to do something different and try to expand the horn into some different areas. And the very first thing that I heard was I heard Robin Eubanks play. I had Robin Eubanks play with some electronics. It wasn't just a harmonizer. It was like some distortion, some reverb, some all delay. Doing some different things, and that really fascinated me. So immediately, what I did was I got very lucky. How it worked was I went to a Guitar Center, and I said, hey, I'm interested in making this work. Most of the guys there was like, I have no idea how to do this. I don't know. There just happened to be a gentleman there that day that said, I know exactly what you need. I'll show you exactly.
Wow.
So he was some type of sound technician and had worked with electronics on acoustic instruments, just happened to be there. And he set me up with this whole thing. Originally I had a Digitech multi-effects unit. It's the one that you actually played back in the day. Yeah. That was and that just kind of started things. And I had a little like a PA amplifier, and I had a mixer, and that was kind of how it started down the road. But then I took some time off from playing for a little bit, and when I got back into it, it became a thing that I wanted to get back into. I play in a band that I created called Stream of Consciousness, and how that band works is that there's an acoustic trombone player and then there's the electric trombone player. And I obviously cover the electronics, and when I was doing it before, I just had a practice mute in there, and because I wanted no acoustic sound, none. He was already covering. David Fletcher, it was the other trombone player, he was covering all the acoustic sound. So I wanted something that would be completely different. And when you heard it, you didn't know what was going on. And that was the concept for it. The problem that I had with it was that it was not roadworthy per se. When you're constantly putting in the mute, plugging it in, and doing that over and over and over again, those are just not made. It's just not made for it.
Yeah, because you were using the Yamaha silent brass.
That's correct.
Because I remember back in the day when I would watch you play. Yeah, it was the silent brass going into the multi-effects pedal.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right. Yeah.
And that was very effective, and it got me started on learning kind of how effects worked with the horn. The reason why I used the mute along with it was because I would have feedback issues. Back in the day, I used to use just an SM57 mic on.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I've got some like old YouTube videos. That's exactly what it is. SM57.
Yeah.
But feedback nightmare.
That's the thing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And especially if you're on stage and you're working with a lot of other instruments, there's so much bleed that's happening it's just almost impossible at that point in time. I'm a big fan of a band out of Chicago called Brain Tentacles, and they're like a metal band. So it's a bass player, a drummer, and a bari sax player. And what he does is, he just buries an SM57 down his bell.
Oh, really?
And then he's playing through a giant Marshall stack. But
wow.
He talks about, he's just like, I have so much sound happening that he doesn't have the same feedback issue because it's just stuffed down in the bell.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
But I needed something. I wanted something, again, a little bit more roadworthy, something that would last, and then honestly something that was different.
Yeah.
Again, I think that this is now a viable instrument. Something that can actually be used.
Yeah, you know, in a way, it's like it's bringing it into like the professional world, you know, because whenever I would mess, you know, with like electric trombone stuff, it's almost like you know, like you're experimenting. It's like kind of goofy what you're doing,
Absolutely.
but like
Absolutely.
but like this is like bringing it to the next level where it's like okay, like you can perform, and you did perform concerts.
I have.
Yeah, well, even before that, and it was awesome, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something I never got to, but I think that's really bringing it to the next level, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think, you know, that was a thing. It was like, I was doing some stuff with stream of consciousness. I also play in a band called Sun Stereo that does, in that band, I do play acoustic trombone. I play trombone parts, but what's great about this thing, and especially on stage, is that I can just take off the effects, or what I do is I EQ it to make it sound like trombone.
Okay.
And then I use this on stage. And what's great about it, it's kind of a weird band. We're kind of a funky, weird, strange band. I mean, you see me. It's like, this is how I dress, you know. And we do some different stuff. And so on stage, this thing looks amazing. And it plays fantastic. Yeah. You know.
So when you play like acoustic trombone, you still have the electric setup.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how I do it. So I go straight. Usually how it works is that this will just go straight into a DI. And then I'll just DI it out, and then we EQ it. What I do is, how it works is that since it's wireless, what I'll do is I'll come out and sit front house and play, and then we'll EQ it there so I can hear out front exactly what's going on. It's great. I've got a range of, you know, almost 500 feet, whatever it is. And so it's like, I can sit out in the front of the house and EQ it.
So as just a trombone player that never plays with like practice mutes or electric trombone, how difficult or easy would it be to transition from regular trombone to this?
Yeah, it is different. It is different. If you've ever played in a practice mute, you'll get a sense of what's going on. So there is some resistance that's happening against it.
Okay.
One of the things that what we tried to do was I wanted to come up with a balance between sound and openness for the horn. So how it works is that it's not as dead as a practice mute. It's still pretty quiet. It's still, I mean, it's still pretty quiet. I mean, you know. It's still pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And especially on stage.
Yeah, if you're playing a concert, especially with these pedals going, no way you can do that.
No, it's not. But it's not as dead as a Yamaha Silent Brass or any of the really great ones that are out there. But because of that, it's a little bit more open.
Yeah.
So it gives you I think that the transition between the two is a little bit easier for somebody that doesn't want to constantly work with that resistance. Now, but if you're going to make it work, and how I do it is I play probably, I'm about 90% of the time I'm on this in order to master it, because playing with a practice mute, is most of you know, is very, it's different. It's just different. Some people say it's debilitating, but I think it's only debilitating if you play it incorrectly. You know, let the resistance work. You know, let it do its thing. It's a different. I'm assuming the same thing as I really studied a lot on the acoustic guitar and the electric guitar and how those things go back and forth. And you see so many people that play electric guitar very well, and they're just not great on acoustic because they really, even though they look like the same instruments, they're not the same instrument.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you can get around, but it's a different instrument, and this is definitely a different instrument. But I just really think that this lends itself to doing the electronics a lot better than anything else that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing B.A.C is good about is just making a great, great sounding, great, easy blowing horn. Because I've tried a couple, and I'm not even kidding. It was like I maybe tried 2 or 3, but each one of those trombones, best trombones I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a big fan of their stuff for a long time. This horn, is originally this was another horn, and they did a big customization on it, and it's just turned into this fantastic horn for me. And what was great about it too was that they worked really close with me. I spent a day. I sent them my ideas. We really talked about some different ways of doing things. And then I went out there and spent a day out there, and we kind of went through some different iterations of how this is going to work, and different ways that we can get the air moving and that type of thing. And I feel like that we've really nailed it right now with this. And again, this is 1.0. We've got some other things possibly coming down the road pretty soon as well. And this is going to be probably when you see this video, we're already starting to release the horn. So yeah, it's going to be an available option.
Yeah. So yeah, one question I had is, so how different is this model right here going to be compared to the model that's available when it comes out and that you could purchase?
It's going to be a little bit different in the sense that some of the modifications that I have on here, so this really tiny, this is the Elliott Mason brace.
Yeah,
I like that personally. A lot of people don't, and so
yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, maybe it's something to get used to, and I really like it. So that probably will be an option.
A lot of people do like it. I've seen a lot of guys with that.
I really dig it. It's been great. You can get. I have a copper lead pipe in this. You can get a number of different ones and that type of thing. It won't have the same paint job. This is a customized paint job.
That's it.
This is a custom paint job.
Justin McAdera signature edition.
So that was the thing. It's just like out of all the things, we're going to release the horn, but this I wanted at least something that would set mine apart a little bit.
Yeah, it looks great.
Well, thank you. And I will say, one of the things you may not want to paint your horn. One of the things that I've noticed about the horn now, how it works, is that it doesn't. I don't feel like in a setting where the regular bell is on there, the actual acoustic bell that's on there, it doesn't project the same way anymore because it's not vibrating the same way. But it still plays great. I'll say, I was playing lead in a jazz band and doing some different things, and it still. Wow. But you have to do a little bit more work on it.
Yeah.
So but again, for me, I'm spending 90% of my time on the electric. I'm really trying to dedicate myself to the electric completely. I think that that's the only way. There's so many people that have dipped their toes into the electric world, and that's fine. I get it. I understand it. But for me, I'm really trying to put this thing on the map, and so that means that I'm going to do this full time.
That's mad respect for that, man. Because I've seen a lot of musicians that they sort of mess with electric.
Sure.
And sometimes, the result, I just don't think is that good. Sometimes they just use, like a wah-wah.
Yeah.
Or, with a microphone. It's just, it's kind of cool, but, this is taking it, very seriously.
Absolutely. Because I think it's a real instrument. I really do. I think that they're, like you were talking about before, there are many times where it can be looked at as a gimmick and that type of thing. But I think that we're in the golden age of pedals and effects and that type of thing. There's so many great affordable pedals that are out there, so many great effects that are out there that again are affordable and easy to manipulate, and because of that, I think that we're going to start looking at more and more instruments going into that direction.
Yeah, and because there's so much opportunity. Because I mess with pedals a little bit too, and I figured out that octavers work great. You can just throw down a bass line. The reverb, I've got some reverb going. It just distortion. And that's one of the things. If I ever get a hold of one of these, my approach would be very different from your approach.
Correct.
Yeah, and it'd be very different from your doing. Because I have this. And I've been working on it for years too, but one day I just want to throw down an AC/DC Marshall stack metal sound coming through trombone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And a lot of people I think will have different ways of playing this, and it's going to be pretty easy to do because you can get whatever pedals you want, whatever playing style you want.
Just like what electric guitarists do.
Yeah, exactly.
Eddie Van Halen does not sound the same as Angus Young. Steve Vai does not sound the same as Adrian Belew. I mean, all of these guys do very different things with their stuff. When Zakk Wylde is sitting up there with just huge amounts of gain sitting on Marshall stacks and all that kind of stuff, and then you hear intricacies of a Steve Vai and what he's doing. What I love about it is that there's so many palettes of sound available for them. Well, now I think that we're starting to enter into this realm where you can do the same thing with this thing. And now we can start exploring some even different sounds because this doesn't play like a guitar.
It just doesn't. That's right. You can do so much more.
Yeah, you can just do different things, and I think that's going to start opening up some worlds musically on the musical palette and the spectrum.
Where could I get one?
Okay.
When it comes out.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is that B.A.C will be selling it on their website, and I will be having a link on my website, which is Infinisphere.org.
Okay.
And you will have a link to not only the horn. What will happen is that it will be an option available on their horns. A lot of the horns now are starting to come out is the cut bell, where what's nice about the cut bell is that you can get a really flat case for it. So transporting it and that type of thing is going to be just great.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like having the really flat case. What it lends itself to the. What's great about it is that it almost looks like just a small or a larger viola case, and so it's super flat. It's easy to fly with, all that kind of stuff. Then what's going to happen is that so they'll offer the actual ball here, and then a pack as well. And really, there's going to be a universal thing where for me, I do the Shure wireless system. It's the most reliable, I think.
Yeah.
But there's some other great companies out there. Line 6 makes great ones. I mean, just a bunch of different companies. But I personally like Shure. And then there will also be a link for the pickup. For the piezo barrel, which I think when people actually see, like, again, it's coming from Australia, but when people actually see how much it costs, I think that they'll be really shocked. It's very affordable.
Yeah,
very affordable.
It is. It really is.
So, and he's got so many different options, and we're working on really very specific ones for trombone. He's been working with another guy right now to get the trumpet one really dialed in. He focused on woodwinds for a long period of time, but now it's these ones that he's really focused on, and I'm just super happy with
Yeah, I emailed him a couple times.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I was
good.
talking to him about
Good.
it, and he sounds very excited about it.
Oh yeah,
too. He's been working really hard on it.
Yeah. So there will be a link. Again, it will be Infinisphere.org. You can also get it on the B.A.C website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So can we hear some of it?
Absolutely.
A little demonstration?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm good to go when you are.
Okay. So basically what I'll do is I'll just start with the dry sound. Now, usually how I run is I run personally out of a guitar amp. Some guys like to use bass amps, just depending on what frequencies you like to use. That's what's great about the trombone, is that you're working with some different frequencies. You can work in the bass register and really have that bottom end, but then you also have, your low E is the low E on a guitar. So you're working in those different frequencies, and it really just depends on how you want to color your tone.
Yeah.
For me, again, Quilter is kind of the one that I go to. They really have a great setup. For me, it colors the tone really well.
The amplifier.
Yeah, and it's just so nice. And I use a 1x12 right now to get it. Eventually, what will happen is we'll start working in stereo. I have some stereo effects and that type of thing. We'll start using washes, but right now I keep everything pretty mono for the time being, just to keep it really, honestly, just to keep it simple for the time being.
Yeah.
As things kind of go on, what you want to do with this is that you really want to explore these sounds really in depth and figure out, just like you spent so much time on your own tone, okay, figuring out on the trombone your tone, you need to kind of do the same thing with this. And you have to really kind of dig in and go like, okay, what am I looking for? How am I thinking about this? What are the types of things that I want to play? And how do I fit into that? Okay, so this, so right now, how it works is this is all wireless. So this guy's on right now, and it goes through a Shure wireless pack. What's great about the Shure system right here
is wireless.
Yeah, and what's great about it, so you can see on here, it's telling me how much battery life I have on the battery, which is great.
Nice.
So, and it's super, it's loud, so I can see it on stage. What's great about it too is that it's got a built-in tuner. So it's great. You can really do the built-in tuner. I like that on stage when things are when the night's been going really long. You're at the end of your 2-hour show, and you know pitch is starting to move.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, where am I?
It's probably hard to tell, because
it is. The feedback's a little bit different. Personally, I use in-ear monitors a lot of times, and so that helps at least me hearing that type of thing. But but you know, I mean, it just gets a little bit out of whack, so it's nice to kind of have that just in case. But again, so this is kind of how I have it dialed in right now. So as you can hear, what's happening now is that I have some of the bottom going on, and you definitely have some of that middle, but there's some airiness. There's some airiness around the tone. So you can hear a little bit of the airiness, and that's what I want. And we'll get into why in just a second. You'll see when you start really affecting the horn, it puts it into a realm where you're not really sure what's going on. So I kind of, the signature for me is that a little bit of airiness to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my main tone a lot of times is really this. This is kind of my lead tone. And what I use is the Digitech Whammy Ricochet up an octave. And I do it up an octave. You can do it up an octave and the dry signal. I don't do that too often because some of the pedals don't react as well with it. Yeah. So I do just up an octave, and I throw on a little bit of reverb with the Canyon right now.
Sometimes Canyon.
I'll use that sometimes at delay and that type of thing, but I really use it a lot for the reverb sound. I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
So it's a getting a little bit too much gain, but the thing is that what's great about it is that it gives me just a little bit of wetness, a little bit of movement. I'm always thinking about spinning the sound and moving the sound in some way, and that's what I think reverb does. Or flange, any of that kind of stuff. All right, and then so now the other one, the big pedal that I like to use a lot is the Rainbow Machine. Now, if you're a guitar player, these guys, most of you know the Rainbow Machine. It's great.
Yeah, Electro Harmonics, right?
Yeah, Electro Harmonics. Yeah, they're no. Sorry. No. Oh my gosh, no. These are Earthquaker. So this is Earthquaker devices.
Okay, my bad.
And they're one of my favorite companies.
That's Electro Harmonics.
The Canyon's Electro Harmonics, but Earthquaker is absolutely one of my favorite companies. They do some really, really crazy stuff, and just like I said, just absolutely one of my favorite companies to work to try out their pedals.
Oh yeah, because they're the ones that make like some of the crazy ones.
Oh,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. A lot of companies do right now, but I just think that Earthquaker does some really, really good stuff. Yeah. And we'll get into the other pedal that I've got with them right too.
Okay.
And then, as you notice too, I forgot to mention it. I have an EQ pedal over here as well.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And it's not the best one, but it works really well. It gives me a good curve and that type of thing, because you really do need to kind of EQ it in how you want it. Okay, so what's great about this? I have the expression pedal hooked up to the Rainbow Machine, so I can change some pitches. You'll see. So it gets into some really weird stuff, and then, I mean, I think every pedal should have this, but it's got a magic button, and that is just so awesome, and this is what the magic button does.
It just makes it go crazy.
So it does all kinds of great things on it, and I love using that for all kinds of stuff. Now, the next thing that I use quite a bit is I use this Eventide H9, and this is the fully loaded one, and it is absolutely amazing. So this is kind of like the main thing. Some of the videos that you'll see for promos that I've got coming out on the horn, this is kind of what you're hearing. Is this big guy here? So. This is where I want the airiness to go. So it's like, especially on those pedal tones, you've got that airiness that's happening around it, and the pickup, it's really picking up, and it's this thing that you haven't heard before. So I can just do, which is great, but all of a sudden you've got this bottom plus the airiness around it. It just creates this whole big effect, big sweeping effects. And I do that quite a bit. I'll do a lot of so what I'll do is I'll loop this guy and just kind of let it sit on this for a little bit.
Oh yeah, the ditto looper.
Now, so you can hear, you just create these huge washes of sound, and it creates all these different things where,
That's nothing I've ever heard.
Right.
Well, I mean, I've heard you before.
Well, he's heard me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, see, I've heard you before, but anyone that has not seen you, never before.
And so that big sound that was happening at the end, that's this, the data corrupter here, the Earthquaker data corrupter. And that thing, okay, so for me, and see, this is different. So I'm not a big fan right now of distortion on trombone.
Okay.
Because I have not been able to dial it in correctly. You and I should probably work on some stuff.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see, because there's ones that I've heard out there. I'm not gonna say names. I mean, there's some stuff, and I'm just not a big a fan of how it sounds.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times sounds really cheesy or whatever. But this data corrupter is kind of this distortion pedal. What I have it's set on basically chords and fifths right now, but it's super glitchy. It doesn't work it picks up different things. It doesn't. It's just great. I love it.
Oh yeah.
So it's super glitchy, it's weird, and it's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's
the thing.
Sound.
So it's when I do need to kind of kick it into like rock mode or whatever, and really kick some air through an amp or whatever. That's what I throw on. That's the thing that I throw on, and I love it for that. And then I use the Ditto looper. I use the X2 because what I like doing a lot of times is it's got effects on here, so I can reverse it, I can half speed, I can do all kinds of different things. So I really like this guy. I have this flanger. I have the Spectre flanger. It's good. I haven't been using it as much. It kicks up the volume a little bit, but I do like it. So you can mess with right here, and so I can create some. So you can create some different things, and it goes crazy. I mean, it just absolutely goes nuts. It does all kinds of great stuff on it. There's all these dip switches on the back of it, and it's there's all these dip switches.
Cool.
So it's super. You got to spend a lot of time with it. You really do.
Yeah.
And then the Canyon, and then like I said, the Eventide's probably my brain. It's got the most stuff in there, and it's what I use quite a bit. And that's about it. I mean, I do. every once in a while, this is my volume pedal right here, but you kick it on. And every once in a while, I like using a little bit of wah for some of the effects. I don't do it too much.
It's cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it can get into a little bit. For me, you start treading that water of gimmicky. A little bit. So you just got to be careful about how you use it. But I think honestly, this is what the beauty of this is that if you like it, you can do it. I mean, it's all available for you.
Yeah.
It's super available. It's all easy to work with. And this horn really makes it possible. You've probably worked with the distortion pedals that have really the high gain and all that kind of stuff. And the problem is always with feedback.
Yeah.
You will not have that issue with this.
Yeah, honestly, for me, that is the ultimate, other than it looking amazing, that's the big selling point because I've been messing with electric trombone too for a really long time, and feedback ruins all of it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It just destroys it. You're just so limited with what you can do. Even just a simple reverb pedal, will feed back.
It can. It absolutely can. And it's and I know at times I love getting some feedback. It's and working with feedback.
Well, yeah.
When you can't control it, that's when it gets really frustrating.
Exactly.
And it's and I would spend, time on stage and be like, I'm not sitting in front of the speaker. I don't know what else to do. But you got to remember, this is a big, it's vibrating, and inside the horn, there's all kinds of things going on. And that's why you're having a lot of the feedback issues.
Yeah.
So, because of this, I don't have any of those issues.
No, we didn't have any. Just said you had distortion on. You had, delay, whammy pedals.
Yeah. And like I said, and I don't have my big amp here or whatever, so really move some air and you can really hear it. But even with this, you just adjust the gain on that thing a little bit, and again, you're not going to get the feedback.
Yeah. That's an incredible horn, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Byron. I appreciate you. And thank you so much for interviewing me. You've done some really great videos. I really like the stuff that you're doing. I think you're really moving things in a really interesting direction. So I really appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you, man. Absolutely.
All right. Very
good stuff. Yeah,
yes.
Give one more look at that. I love that paint job. Dude, I bet when you're playing a concert,
the lights coming on.
The lights coming on it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, I'm super happy with it.
Awesome. Justin McAdera, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
All right.
Cool.
Dude, that is so cool. Those sounds were amazing.
It's pretty great, right?